Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is R.S. Raghu, and with me is Renuka, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates first Global Innovation Summit of Pharmaceutical Sector. Stresses to create an ecosystem for innovation to make India leader in drug discovery and innovative medical devices. India and China agree to find an early resolution to the remaining issues along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh. Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank approves $150 million loan for implementation of Sustainable Urban Services Program for Chennai metropolitan area. Indian Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal calls upon developed countries to do more in providing clean and green technology to achieve sustainable development goals. India and UN Security Council meet call for inclusive dispensation in Afghanistan. And Economic Advisory Council to Prime Minister Modi projects India's growth rate of 7 to 7.5% in 2022-23. As India created history by administering over 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline number 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stressed on the vision to create an ecosystem for innovation which will make India a leader in drug discovery and innovative medical devices. He emphasized on ramping up domestic manufacturing of key ingredients for vaccine and medicine, saying that this is one frontier that India has to conquer. The Prime Minister today inaugurated the first Global Innovation Summit of the pharmaceutical sector through video conferencing. Mr. Modi said, high quality and quantity at affordable prices has generated immense interest in the India pharma sector around the world. Highlighting the role of India pharma sector during the COVID-19 pandemic, Mr. Modi said the Indian pharmaceutical industry has also risen to the challenge. He said, the global trust earned by the Indian healthcare sector has led to India being called the pharmacy of the world.
Our definition of wellness is not limited by physical boundaries. We believe in the well-being of the entire humankind. Sarve api sukhina santu, sarve santu niramaya. And we have shown this spirit to the whole world during the COVID-19 global pandemic. We exported life-saving medicines and medical equipment to over 150 countries during the initial phase of the pandemic. We have also exported more than 65 million doses of COVID vaccines to nearly 100 countries this year. The global trust earned by the Indian healthcare sector had led to India being called the pharmacy of the world.
The 2-day summit will have 12 sessions and over 40 national and international speakers will deliberate on a range of subjects including the regulatory environment, funding for innovation, industry-academia collaboration and innovation infrastructure. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called upon all democratic nations to work together on cryptocurrency and ensure it does not end up in wrong hands, as it can spoil the youth. Mr. Modi said, as a democracy and digital leader, India is ready to work with partners for its shared prosperity and security. The Prime Minister was delivering the keynote address at the Sydney Dialogue today. The Prime Minister said, the digital age is changing everything around us and it has redefined politics, economy and society. The Prime Minister also said that technology has already become a major instrument of global competition and key to shaping the future international order. Mr. Modi added that technology and data are becoming the new weapons and the biggest strength of democracy is openness.
We are transforming the lives of the people by using digital technology for governance, inclusion, empowerment, connectivity, delivery of benefits and welfare. Everyone has heard of India's financial inclusion, banking, and digital payment revolution.
The Sydney Dialogue is being held from the 17th to the 19th of this month. It is an initiative of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute.
India and China have agreed to find an early resolution to the remaining issues along the line of actual control (LAC) in eastern Ladakh, while fully abiding by bilateral agreements and protocols so as to restore peace and tranquility. The two sides also agreed to ensure a stable ground situation and avoid any untoward incident. 23rd meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs was held today. The External Affairs Ministry has said the Indian delegation was led by Additional Secretary, East Asia, from the Ministry of External Affairs. The Director General of the Boundary and Oceanic Department of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs led the Chinese delegation. The two sides recalled the agreement between External Affairs Minister and the Foreign Minister of China during their meeting in September in Dushanbe that military and diplomatic officials of the two sides should continue their discussions to resolve the remaining issues along the LAC in eastern Ladakh. Accordingly, the two sides had candid and in-depth discussions on the situation along the LAC in western sector of India-China border areas, and also reviewed the developments since the last meeting of the senior commanders of both sides, which was held on 10th of October last month. It was agreed that both sides should hold the next 14th round of the senior commanders meeting at an early date to achieve the objective of complete disengagement from all the friction points along the LAC in the western sector in accordance with the existing bilateral agreements and protocols. The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank AIIB has approved $150 million loan to the Government of India for implementation of the Sustainable Urban Services Program for Chennai Metropolitan Area CMA. AIIB Vice President, Investment Operations, Dr. DJ Pandian, while speaking to Prasar Bharati Special Correspondent, exclusively said that India is the largest beneficiary of AIIB and the bank has so far approved 29 projects for India worth $6.8 billion. He said another 27 projects worth $5 billion are in pipeline for India, including Haryana Orbital Railway Project, which will be a circular railway to national capital Delhi, multi-corridor transport project in Mumbai, and digital education project in Gujarat. He further informed that AIIB will soon approve a $500 million project for COVID-19 vaccination in India.
In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion with AIIB Vice President Dr. DJ Pandian to Prasar Bharati Special Correspondent Anshuman Mishra.
Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank AIIB has approved its latest project for India, Chennai Urban Corridor Project. Can you please share some details about it and future plans for India?
AIIB is working for the last 6 years, and India is the largest borrower from AIIB. We have so far approved 29 projects. The last project was Chennai City Development. It's called Chennai Partnership Program. It's mainly for Sustainable Urban Services Program. Through this program, we finance 150 million. It's a co-finance with the World Bank. World Bank also support up to 150 million. The overall project cost is 701 million. The balance amount is provided as a counterparty fund by Government of Tamil Nadu. Under the 700 million program, the main aim is to improve the quality of the urban services, mainly the public health, public transport, public water supply and sewage. In addition to that, part of the money will be utilized to improve the public spaces and also to improve the water resource capacity of the city. You know, the city faces flood all the time, mainly because the water bodies like lakes are not taken care properly. So this money will be partly utilized to rejuvenate the lakes and the groundwater rejuvenating system, so that many water will be saved and the flood will be restricted. So it is a part of city services, also climate mitigation project.
So can you please share some details about the few projects in pipeline for India in other states as well as in Tamil Nadu?
As I mentioned, so far we have approved 29 projects amounting to $6.8 billion. India is the largest beneficiary out of Aiib. India is the second largest shareholder, and so we work very closely with the Government of India. According to their infrastructure requirements, we finance number of projects. Mostly, we have a lot of projects in the metro, in the urban transport. We have one more metro to be approved in Chennai. We have one metro project to be approved in Mumbai. We have the Mumbai urban transport services, urban transport. Another project is on pipeline. In addition to that, there is a multi-corridor project including railway and road in Mumbai, and we are working on the Haryana orbital railway, which will be a circular railway to Delhi. So number of railway projects we are working on it. In addition to that, in Chennai itself, we are working on a ring road project. So this will help to ease the traffic in the city of Chennai. Our idea is Chennai, we have to work in an integrated manner so that the traffic congestion is eased and the people will opt for the public transportation. Thirdly, we are also working on the water sector. We are in association with the World Bank. We are going to rehabilitate number of major dams, 10 states. This is another major project. We are working on a very innovative project in Gujarat, the improvement of modern education system. Under the COVID, many people are not able to go to the school. Yeah. So everything is through online system, so which needs a very high digital infrastructure for the government side. So we are working with Government of Gujarat to augment the infrastructure facilities, both physical as well as digital, so that it will reach the common man and the people who are going to the government schools. So we are working in social sector, we are working in water sector, we are working in transport sector. Also, along to the COVID-19 situation, we will be able to bring another new project for vaccination, which will be $500 million. We are working on it. Maybe in a couple of, either this month or next month, we'll be able to take it to the board.
Government of India has major focus on infrastructure development in the country. Aiib is funding 29 projects in India, mostly physical infrastructure as well as social infrastructure. How do you see India's efforts in infrastructure development and building an ecosystem for this?
India is a huge country with a population of 1.3 billion, 30 states almost. So their infrastructure requirement is unimaginable. Under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Government of India has come out with a big pipeline amounting to more than 2 trillion. And whatever Aiib can do in support of this pipeline, in strengthening the infrastructure in India, we will do our best. Aiib is committed to that. That's why I told you that we have already approved 29 projects amounting to 6.8 billion, and now another 27 projects are on the pipeline, another 5 billion. Next year we are working on it, how best we can support the government in their scheme of infrastructure development. When the infrastructure comes up, the economic activity automatically improves. It gives an impetus to employment, impetus to manufacturing, impetus to the growth of the general development. So we will work with the Government of India very closely and to spread this infrastructure development across the country.
You recently said that Aiib and ADB will co-finance $2 billion loans to assist India's fight against COVID-19. Can you share the latest on this and also give us an overview of Aiib's support so far in COVID-related matters to India?
Aiib so far approved 3 projects to India, COVID-related. The first project was 500 million, second project was 750 million, third project was another 500 million. So far 1.75 million was given to Government of India to fight against the COVID-19. Mainly as an emergency purpose, the Government of India has to increase the facility for the hospitals by increasing the beds, buying more medicines, hiring more staff. And also we have financed another 500 million to help the small and medium industries, to rejuvenate the small and medium industries. Another 750 million we have approved, mainly for the budget support of the Government of India. So totally 3 projects we approved, amounting to 1.75 million. The 4th project is under processing. This is a co-finance with ADB for the purchase of vaccines. ADB will support 101.5 billion, 1,500 million, and Aiib will provide 500 million. The negotiations are going on. I think once it is finalized, we will be able to take it to the board, which I said earlier.
So these vaccines will be procured from domestic manufacturers?
It will be procured as per the policy of the ADB. ADB has a very clear-cut policy. Those vaccines which are approved by the World Health Organizations can be purchased through a competitive system. It's called the APVAX. So under that system, these vaccines will be purchased.
Aiib began its operations in Beijing in January 2016. You joined it as its first Chief Investment Officer as well as Vice President Investment Operations in March 2016. How do you reflect on the bank's growth so far and its future in a post-pandemic world?
Aiib, when it was started in 2016, we were very limited people. When I joined, we had only 20 people. We were struggling how to do projects in various countries, because it was founded by 57 member countries across Asia as well as outside Asia also. We were doing hardly 4 projects for 1 billion in the first year, but now last year we approved more than 30 projects for almost 9.9 billion. So we are growing very, very fast. For Aiib, for a new bank, a startup bank in the international region, this much growth is really great. But going ahead, because of the pandemic, many countries are struggling hard to do infrastructure projects. However, we can say that we have a very healthy pipeline, both from India as well as from other countries. So we will be able to do these projects next year. It is tough to travel to these countries because of the travel restrictions. So staff are working round the clock through video chats, through virtual meetings, and we will be able to do our regular business, our regular routine work in a year or 2.
So any plans for Aiib to open a regional office in India in the coming future?
I think Government of India is every year requesting, but Aiib has been founded on principles of lean. We want to remain lean. We don't want to add more extra expenditure. So we are trying our best to reduce our cost so that we can do better services to our client countries at a lower element. However, if business grows, we need to think about opening offices in countries where more projects are going on, because this will be essential not only for business development, also to have a good relations with our client countries, and also to supervise and monitor various projects which we have approved. So in the interest of quality of projects, in the interest of that this project benefit reach the people, we need to open offices, but it will take some time.
Another aspect which comes to my mind, so we are seeing many multilateral development banks and other institutions which are of course, as you said, required for taking up various development projects in different parts of the world. So do you see need of more multilateral development banks such as Aiib, ADB and other banks, or do you think it is sufficient? And do you see that there are proper cooperation and coordination happening between such institutions?
Of course, it's a fact that the world growth, if you took the world history or world economy, 2/3 of population is in Asia. But GDP-wise, it is 1/3. It is mainly because of the infrastructure gap. The infrastructure facilities available in Europe or in other Western countries or in America is much, much greater than what is available in Asian countries. So to fill up the gap, only Aiib was created. Yes, you are correct. There are already World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and all these banks are not enough. I think since the infrastructure requirement is huge, whatever we finance, how much we can finance? $10 billion. But we need to invest $2 to $3 trillion a year, every year. So if that is the requirement, 1 bank, 2 bank is not enough. But at the same time, we cannot go on starting multilateral development bank every year. That's why we work in close collaboration with our other existing banks, legacy banks we call it. The World Bank has a 70 years history, ADB 50 years history. So we have a partnership agreement with World Bank, with ADB, with EBRD, which is based in London, with European Investment Bank, so with even the African Development Bank. Since we have partnership agreement, we have a MOU with all these banks. Together, we will be able to meet the requirement of our client countries, at least to a limited extent.
China is the largest shareholder in Aiib and India is the second largest shareholder. Considering the present situation of bilateral relations between the two countries, how do you find working in such a condition? Any effect of this on decision-making process or other aspects?
Aiib is a multilateral development bank. It's not a bilateral bank. China is one of the shareholders. It took initiative. India is also joined with China in establishing this bank. Similarly, currently we have 103 members. members across all continents, with Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in America, Australia, New Zealand, they are all members. So the bilateral relationship doesn't affect the functioning of the bank. We are apolitical. We take decisions based on our policies and strategies, and we take very independent, impartial decision for investment. So any bilateral event doesn't affect our investment operation.
Any project, for example, in such a territory where there is some sort of dispute, for example, China-Pakistan economic corridor, or any such territory in any part of world which comes under jurisdiction of AIIB. So how AIIB handles those kind of projects?
We have a very clear-cut policy on international relations. We have a policy on doing project in disputed territories. So we go as per the policy. In disputed territories, we obtain the consent of all the people, all the parties concerned. Without the consent of all the countries, we don't do any project. And we respect the territorial integrity of each and every nation.
This was indeed an enriching and good quality conversation with you, Dr. Pandyan. Thank you for speaking to Prasar Bharati Beijing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Usman.
This is All India Radio, giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Union Minister for Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Textiles Piyush Goyal has said the WTO needs to reassess the way it has been conducting its affairs, pointing out that certain countries do not give market access equitably and openly and extend hidden subsidies. Mr. Goyal said that developed countries should do more and meet their obligations, such as providing clean and green technology to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and achieve climate goals and meet the needs of billions of people. He was speaking in a session on enhancing global footprint, India's big opportunity at the CII Global Economic Policy Summit 2021 today. India at the United Nations Security Council meeting has called for inclusive dispensation in Afghanistan, which represents all sections of Afghan society. India urged the international community to rise above partisan interests and come together for assistance in Afghanistan. India's ambassador to the UN, T.S. Tirumurthy, said that New Delhi is willing to coordinate with other stakeholders to work towards enabling the expeditious provision of much-needed assistance to the people of Afghanistan. Mr. Tirumurthy said that one of India's immediate priorities is to evacuate stranded people as well as ensure their free movement. He also said that terrorism continues to pose a serious threat to Afghanistan and the region. He said that the Security Council Resolution 2593 notes the commitment of the Taliban not to allow the use of Afghan soil for terrorism, including those designated under UNSCR 1267.
The UN Consul General in Chennai, Judith Ravin, has said that the United States remains India's biggest trading partner, with trade increasing from approximately $20 billion in 2001 to $145 billion in 2019. She was addressing the members of the United States-India Business Council after the opening up of the India-US Tech Conclave as part of the Bengaluru Tech Summit. She noted that the US-India bilateral relationship continues to expand from collaboration on mitigating the impacts of COVID-19 and climate change to space exploration. She said that both the countries have joint commitment towards a free and open Indo-Pacific region. Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, EAC-PM, has projected a real rate of growth of 7 to 7.5% and a nominal rate of growth of more than 11% in 2022-23. Members of the EAC-PM have expressed optimism about real and nominal growth prospects in 2022-23 in a meeting held in New Delhi today. Members felt that contact-intensive sectors and construction should recover in 2022-23, and once capacity utilization improves, private investments should also recover. It was stressed that there should also be a clear roadmap for privatization, and the growth orientation of last year's budget should also be maintained.
The Asian Development Bank, ADB, has approved a $150 million loan to Bangladesh to finance the cottage, micro and small-sized enterprises, CMSEs, operated by youth, returning migrant workers and rural entrepreneurs, particularly women, who have been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. The loan will be distributed among 30,000 such enterprises by the participating banks in Bangladesh. The United States has designated several nations, including Pakistan, China, Iran, North Korea, and Myanmar, as countries of particular concern for violation of religious freedom. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also announced to place Algeria, Comoros, Cuba, and Nicaragua on a special watch list for governments that have engaged in or tolerated severe violations of religious freedom. The U.S. has also designated Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the Houthis, ISIS Greater Sahara, ISIS West Africa, Jamaat Nasr al-Islam wal Muslimin, and the Taliban as entities of particular concern. Asserting that the United States will not waver its commitment to advocate for freedom of religion or belief for all and in every country, Blinken said the challenges to religious freedom in the world today are structural, systematic, and deeply entrenched.
A state of emergency has been declared in the Canadian western province of British Columbia after a major storm cut road and rail links in the region. The Canadian Armed Forces are being deployed to help thousands of stranded residents who have been trapped since the storm hit overnight on Sunday. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau pledged assistance during a visit to Washington, D.C. and said troops would help rebuild. Officials in the region have attributed the natural disaster to the effects of climate change. The impact of climate change on the frequency of storms is still unclear, but the increased sea surface temperatures warm the air above and make more energy available to drive hurricanes, cyclones and typhoons.
Now the news from the business world.
The BSE Sensex declined 372 points or 0.62% to finish at 59,636. The NSE Nifty also tumbled 134 points or 0.75% to end at 17,765. Amongst the global stock market, most Asian stocks fell. Hong Kong's Hang Seng ended 1.3% down and Japan's Nikkei fell 0.3%. South Korea's Kospi and China's Shanghai Composite Index both declined 0.5%. Singapore's Straits Times managed to add 0.1%. European markets were mixed but trading in a narrow range. Oil prices slumped, driving major benchmarks to their lowest settlement level since early October. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading around $80 per barrel. Back home, gold prices fell 120 rupees at multi-commodity exchange for December contracts. The precious metal was trading at 49,175 rupees per 10 grams in intraday trade. Silver also declined 305 rupees to 66,320 rupees per kilogram for December contracts when reports last came in. And in the forex market, the rupee appreciated 3 paise to close at 74 rupees and 24 paise against the US dollar. Rajesh Lake for World News, All India Radio.
In cricket, India will take on New Zealand in the second T20 encounter of the three-match series at JSCA Stadium in Ranchi tomorrow. The match will begin at 7 p.m.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in foreign press. Washington Post reports dozens of health groups urge businesses to voluntarily adopt Biden's vaccine rule. The Globe and Mail reports heat, fires, floods. The world's climate future hits British Columbia. The New York Times writes, risk for leaders of Belarus, migrants he lured may want to stay. The Wall Street Journal writes, Turkey currency crisis threatens economy, posing challenge to Erdogan rule. Financial Times writes, U.S. Trade Representative admits need for course correction in Asia. A quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates first Global Innovation Summit of Pharmaceutical Sector, stresses to create an ecosystem for innovation to make India leader in drug discovery and innovative medical devices. India and China agree to find an early resolution to the remaining issues along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh. Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank approves $150 million loan for implementation of Sustainable Urban Services Program for Chennai metropolitan area. Indian Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal calls upon developed countries to do more in providing clean and green technology to achieve sustainable development goals. India and UN Security Council meet, called for inclusive dispensation in Afghanistan, and Economic Advisory Council to Prime Minister Modi projects India's growth rate to 7 to 7.5% in 2022-23. India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from Lativa. And with that, we end this bulletin. Good night.